all right. Hey, thanks everyone who's sat down. We'll get into it in just a second. I appreciate maybe you're here to take a break. Maybe you just really want to know about Agentic AI and cloud security. Either way is fine with me. So let me dive right in. And along the way, I may raise your hand or something, but let's see how that goes. So let's get started. I'm going to talk a little bit about what makes AI agentic. You probably all know very well about that at this point in time, especially having been here for a few days at reInvent. We'll talk about how it can play a role as a new teammate and why that's going to be valuable. And then how can this shift how we do things in cloud security? And I'm going to show you one of the workflows that Sysdig has implemented using AI agents to help relieve some of the toil, some of the pain that exists when we're talking about securing our clouds, our workloads, and so on. I'm actually going to show you a little bit of that, and then at the end invite you to come talk to us in our booth. So with that, let's get started. So what makes AI agentic? Again, I think most of you are clear on this at this point, but let's go over it, right? We want to move from just being able to ask a question and getting some sort of information back to actually giving AI a job to do for us, right? So that it can then act with autonomy around the clock. I don't need to be there saying, how should I do this? What should I do next? And so on. It's going to do things for you independently. It's going to learn. It's going to adapt. It's going to use things that are at its disposal to do whatever job you give it. And we're going to talk about the job that it can do for you in the world of cloud security. And it thinks it collaborates. I like the collaborate word because, as if you were here for the last presentation, there's a lot of fear about it's going to take my job. Well, what we really want to do, and I've experienced this in my own role, is use AI to help make what I do more effective. And maybe I can even get some time back in my day, so to speak. So we want to use AI to do things that are relatively complex, that we can allow it to do that I don't have to do any longer. And it becomes not just a tool, but like a teammate. And by that I mean, just think about, regardless of the use case, think about having something that can do analysis that normally I'm doing, but it can present findings to me concise, clear, so I get exactly what's needed. Or maybe it's a recommendation. This is the thing you should do next, and here's how to do it. That's awesome. And then in the future, and I don't think we're there yet, you may agree or disagree with me, but where I've actually said, this is your job, when necessary, do it. In the world of cloud security, we're still a little nervous about having, or in any world, having AI making changes, tweaking something for fear that something catastrophic will happen. I really believe we're going to get there to where we'll allow AI to do things for us. Maybe it's that I can quickly look and say, yep, go do it, but we will get there. So what we want is something that helps us, that grows with us, that helps every step of the way. Now, when we think about this in the world of security, I want to know, anyone here a security person, professional, got a couple, anyone in dev that has to fix things like vulnerabilities? Exactly. Posture, so on and so forth. So you know what I'm talking about. There's all this world of data. The bigger we get in our clouds, the bigger we get with our workloads, the more signals come our way. And it can become a bit painful because I need to analyze that stuff. Hopefully the tool's doing it for me, but often I get just a dashboard, right? And then what am I going to do to filter through that? What am I going to do to prioritize the list of things that could impact my business? What am I going to do to notify the right people? How can I get the right recommendations without having to go swivel in my chair and ask you, what's the best way to fix this thing, right? And eventually, again, getting to world of action so that I, on the right-hand side, have a much more concise set of insights and information that I can deal with and be more effective at what I do when trying to secure workloads, infrastructure, all the things in my cloud. We're seeing it like this, and what typically is the case today is that an alert will happen, right? And when that alert happens, I'm going to do some things. What is the problem? Let me go investigate. Is this real? Is this not real? Who's involved? Maybe you're, oh, I need to go talk to John because this is something that he did. What is the impact? Whether something that actually has happened or something that could be the impact of the issue. Then I get around to figuring out what am I going to do to fix it. In the world of AI, using agents to help us get more insights immediately when something happens, I still get alerted, hey, this thing happened or is happening. Maybe it's a runtime event, maybe there's just vulnerabilities or whatnot. But what I get immediately is, this is the impact or potential impact. This is the set of suggestions and recommendations that we make for you so that you can make a quick decision. And then again, in the world of getting trust, eventually saying, go auto fix that for me. So I am bypassing all of these steps that take minutes, hours, sometimes days, and I'm getting all that up front. And then if I need to go and verify, I have all the evidence that I can say, okay, why do you think this is important? What are the signals that led to this, that came from this problem? So we want to kind of shift the workflow from this long process before I start fixing to understanding fixing, and then if I need to, I get more insights and information. So one of the use cases that we're using this at Sysdig is around vulnerability management. Now, one of the big complaints we hear, especially in the world of containers. Anyone doing containers in here? Kubernetes? Yeah, most of you. I'm using these things, I scan them, but so many findings that I can't stay ahead of it. And I'm not sure exactly how to prioritize, or I do know how, but I'm bouncing between a CMDB or a spreadsheet, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I've got to gather my own context. Well, what if we could leverage AI to make that better? This is where I'm just going to tell you a little bit. I'm from Sysdig. Anyone heard of Sysdig before? This is the risky question, right? Yeah, okay. We are a cloud security platform, and as a cloud security platform, we bring a number of different disciplines, different, let's call them use cases, from vulnerability management posture all the way through what we're well known for as real-time threat detection. And so this is where we have a lot of good insights, good data, really deep telemetry, excellent context, and all of this stuff can be grabbed and leveraged by AI when trying to solve a problem. So let me paint the picture of the problem that we're solving. One, I saw a lot of head nodding, a lot of vulnerabilities, right? Thousands and thousands, right? And then what do I need to do? I need to answer a bunch of questions. Is it really something I need to worry about? Is it running in production, or is this just something we're playing with in the back, right? Is it a business critical app? Is this particular vulnerable thing even being used? Is it in memory? Is it loaded? Is it exposed? Is there a fix? Who owns the fix? These are all things that someone in your business is figuring out and spending hours and hours and hours and hours on this weekly, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Then I need to prioritize that list, open tickets for the right people. Then I need to determine how to fix it. Not I, but the person I just shipped it off to, right? They get a Jira ticket and they're like, okay, now what? A bunch of CVEs, which is, it's like, okay, that's a bit of a challenge. And then, of course, I want to be able to report on progress. And so this is something that AI can be very good at helping us to solve by pulling together a lot of these pieces for us. Here's how we're doing it at Sysdig. One is looking into your environment. And in this case, I'm thinking about like a Kubernetes, EKS, ECS, maybe some Fargate, and so on, right? I'm looking and identifying, is this a production cluster? Does it look like a business application? Is there data attached? Or is it just some file server that no one really cares about? So on, getting that insights. Then understanding from a runtime perspective, is the vulnerable thing actually in use? Because that's important. I want to fix those things first. And then, is it exposed externally? That's not that hard to do, but think about pulling that insight in, and then is there a known exploit? Can I actually even fix it, or do I need to put a mitigating control in? And how? How am I going to fix this? So on this first one is kind of a Sysdig innovation, where we're actually looking into your cloud environment and looking for business signals. Why? To put them in buckets. Buckets that say this, like let's say I'm in the gaming industry, like this application is running everything that all my users are betting, doing all the things. We're in Vegas, that makes sense, right? So identifying that for me versus something that's less important, reasoning about it, and then giving that information back to me. Then we can get from this really big number to this really small number, where then, yes, we want a human to be involved, we want a human to take action for us. So let me show you the implementation that we have at Sysdig. Then we'll wrap up, we'll be pretty much done. We're halfway through. All right, I'm gonna switch to my demo. So I'm just on my home screen here. Sysdig does a lot of things around vulns. around runtime events. So runtime is a very important aspect of your cloud security. Things around compliance and so forth, right? So what I'm going to go to is where we have implemented today our agentic sort of insights around vulnerability management. Now you see my funnel, right? This is something that happens to most of us. We end up with thousands of vulnerabilities. How can something help me narrow that down? And in this case, I'm talking about AI agents for each one of these steps, going and getting the information, pulling it together for me, and then even in the end, providing a strategy on how I'm going to fix said vulnerability or vulnerabilities. Let me go through each one of these things. So one, we've already scanned, we figured out that there's some critical vulnerabilities. Most of us want to fix those first and foremost, right? Then is it loaded in memory? That's some other signal that Sysdig has as a platform that AI goes, okay, yeah, we've got that, we've collected that. Then what environment is it in, right? So it's automatically identified some of my environments for me. I haven't had to go out and tag these things. So let's say I'm just worried about production. Now that number went down from not enough for my, from 1,200 to just over 1,000. So I've still got a lot in production. And that's concerning. But which ones are actually exposed to the internet that somebody can get to and start to exploit? I'm now down to a much smaller number. And then, are they exploitable? So from our CVE databases, is there a known way that the bad guys are actually getting in and messing around with this to try and get into my AWS cloud or my Kubernetes clusters? And then there may be some that are exceptions. Now today, someone has to go in and say, yeah, this is there, boss, but it's critical. But it's a Windows thing, and we use no Windows packages in anything that we do. So what if AI could identify that characteristic for me and say, that's an exception? If I need to dig into under the cover and get an explanation of why it's an exception, I can easily get that as well, right? So that's step one, what we call removing the noise. Step two is I'm plotting these things against a graph that says, one, how important do we deem this to be, and how pervasive, I should go this way, how pervasive is it in my environment? Meaning, is it deployed a ton across all the things I have? And you'll see one outlier here. It's not so high up here, but it certainly is deployed in a lot of places. Now, I may think, okay, you're telling me that this is probably one to fix. Explain that to me. So already there are some things I can do. One is I can just ask, explain to me why you think this is important. And now this is part of the generative piece, which is going to give me some insights and information as to why this is deemed one of the more important images. This is a container image I'm talking about here. And I get some information, I get various things. I can actually do things like, well, then highlight just critical ones for me. But I also get something that says fix here. Now remember what I said earlier? We're not quite ready to have AI just go out and start making updates for me. But I'll call it a recipe. I can get a recipe for what to do. And now, instead of me sending over to you a Jira ticket that says, here's your list of CVEs, please fix them, I can say, here's the list of CVEs, here's where they're running. By the way, these are in use. And let me go ahead and click this button. And here's what we recommend that you do. Now this is a set of recommendations, both from an app level in this case, again, container image, as well as a base layer to say, do this. Now, it's smart enough to understand your environment, number one. Again, AI agents have understood your environment. Two, it's smart enough not to say, okay, yeah, bump up from version 3 to 4 of Redis or whatever, right? We don't want to do that because that might introduce some things that break. So that's the benefit of having this, is that now I get everything that I need enumerated, listed, even some commands that can be ran by the dev who gets this, and I can easily say, okay, let's create a Jira ticket and I'm off and flying, right? So what's cool about this is that payload or that recipe, let's call this, I'm gonna put it in my area here, and we'll call it a task, is that payload of insights and information gets dropped into the ticket, and now that is nicely formatted for the person who receives it, and they can go about fixing it. So now, instead of having this really, really long process of filtering, prioritizing, figuring out how to fix it, AI has sort of brought that to my doorstep. And that's what I love about this, is that we're going to end up helping save a lot of time, a lot of sneaker wear, again, a lot of trying to ask a friend or go on and search the internet for things, right? So I can create that ticket. If I already have one open, it knows I already have one open, and that's beautiful. So that's one of the ways that we've implemented Agentic AI. And then again, for most of us, let me go, I'm gonna do this the brute force way. We also want to track how are we doing. Typically you want this to go down and to the right? So AI can help us keep track of that too. I can show this to my boss, I can show this to whomever, and have a nice track record. Or if it's going the wrong way, I'm going to put a little more time and effort into this. And so that's a little bit about how something like a well-guided AI, a set of AI agents, agentic AI, if you will, let me go back here, can help you get out from under some of this really hard work. Now we see this being applicable across all of the domains of cloud security: posture management, threat detection, finding ways to have AI help us do some of the jobs that today I'm having to do, and it's not really that important of work other than I'm spending time filtering through various pieces of information. Let's let AI do that. I can get down to the fixing. So I'm going to close it here. Nothing too heavy. Hopefully that's okay with you guys, right? It's helping to transform things. We're getting help with defending our clouds. We're getting help making faster decisions for response, which is key to staying ahead of threats in the cloud. And now I'm empowering every one of you to have the information in a little bit of an easier way than is currently the state of the art for most security tools out there. You can come see this, learn more over in our booth, ask us some questions over there. So with that, I'm going to wrap up and just say thank you for being here. Hopefully you get some insights into that and start looking for these kind of things in your shop when you need to actually deliver security tooling and security approaches for your business. That's all I got. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Appreciate it.